Alright everyone, I am your Ice Dragon Rayron VR, and today we got another manga spotlight video, and it is Blue Period Volume 6. I finally have this. It took me a little bit between 5 and 6, because originally this was supposed to come out in February of 22, but unfortunately the author caught COVID, needed to take some time off, and now we have it. It is March of 2022, or now currently April, and finally have volume 6 in my hands. I am definitely excited about this. So let's go ahead and take a look on the back and see what we've got. A second exam. A surprising setback before the second exam shakes Yutaro up. But after everything he's been through, he must persevere. This time, the subject turns out to be something both new and familiar. But does an average guy like Yutaro stand a chance against genius and prodigies vying from a spot in the nation's most competitive art school? Now an anime. So we got Kodansha Comics, older teen, which I would kind of argue that this needs to be an M rating, but yeah, it is what it is. And USA 1399. So with that, let's talk about non-spoilers, talk about things overall. Overall, I love this volume. Again, Utah is faced with the biggest challenge I think anyone can face, and that's really themselves. And we got to really see that through this, and we got to see a protagonist actually struggling and needing advice from other people, especially from mentors. It is a great, great story. This one, not, this is, don't get me wrong, this is a very good volume, and we kind of to see some competitiveness between Yutora and um, Yatsuki, which is who is covered here on volume 6. And by the end of it, you can tell they were pretty friends. But it was a great story to read through. Again, the art style, again, I'm not a fan of the art style, especially with the drawings of the human characters. But again, the story is really, really good. So with that, that's pretty much all I can say, because now we got to talk about spoilers. So if you don't want to get spoiled, feel free to watch this video at a later time. But with that, let's go ahead and dive into Blue Period Volume 6. So in the last volume, Yotua was going up a flight of stairs, going to do the second exam, and he fell to the floor. He felt very sick. And he actually runs into Yatsuki. Now, Yatsuki is basically the one who is very, how can I say, very rude to Yutora. I would even say even jealous, because Yutora has the determination and drive and will to actually be good and be a competitor in this drawing art style. But after their brief exchange, Yutora was finally able to go into the classroom. And so we got our second prompt for this school academy, which was a nude model. Now this kind of gets tied back to I believe it's volume 4, which is my favorite, when Yutora was, had to do the self-pose drawing of himself as practice. And so that, again, kind of in hindsight, now that definitely is going to pay off in volume 6. However, there's a slight problem. Yutora is sick. He's got the arm rashes, he has a fever, and he's not doing too well. So he tries to go through the themes and tries to figure out exactly what he wants to draw. But again, because he's so sick, unfortunately, he sleeps through day 1 of the second exam. And so when he has to go back, he goes back to his bedroom, and then he asks his instructor, what is he going to do? He's so sick, he can't finish the exams. And that's where we go back to, well, the instructor says maybe you need to have an advantage. You just shouldn't get caught. So to deal and to combat the sickness, get down with the sickness. Yotora basically has a cooling pad under his beanie hat that he has to wear, and instead of contact lenses, he goes with normal glasses because he was having issues trying to see. He was dizzy and so forth, and so he basically dresses up comfortably so that way he can deal with his sickness and get through the next painting. And so a good chunk of this volume, I would say about 50% of this volume, is basically the montage of Yatora getting through his sickness and then going through the creative process of how is he going to do an oil painting of this nude model. It is a female nude model, so I do want to let you guys know, if you're going to read this volume, there is definitely frontal nudity of the female body. So just be very aware of that when you go into this particular manga. Again, it is for arts, which is why I think it got the OT ages 16 and plus rating. But debatable if it needs actually an M title. It's up for debate. But again, just be worried about that. But anyways, so they go through this. He goes through the montage, and again, it is brilliantly written on how it's like you have this person who has superpower abilities, and they're calculating, they're strategizing, but instead of the abilities and power of a superhero, it's basically the intellect of an artist, and you really get to see how one perspective on how an artist goes through and forms the painting, because they are also given a scrapbook that's going to be part of their package when it comes to their exam and how they actually came to create their artwork. And so again, about 50% of the book is that montage, and then it is finally over. The second exam, he was able to get through it, and so he wasn't too confident that he was going to be able to get in. He hangs out with his other friends, and he starts to look around applying for jobs because he's not sure if he's going to get in or not. And so the results start to come back, and the competitor, Yatsuki, our main character on the title for volume 6, or cover I should say, she gets in. No surprise there. But then we start to see a board with all the numbers of all those who have been accepted, and Yatura is accepted. So he was able to get in, and again, great dialogue between Yatora and Yatsuki, and I'm going to save that for you guys to read because it is quite a warming experience. Again, the interaction between these characters, the author does a beautiful job with that, and it is truly one of those good stories when it comes to the characters. And then from the classroom, there are 3 that got in, Yatura, Yasuki, and then I may have missed it or not, but the third one's not mentioned, so we don't know exactly. And if it was in here, then I missed it. But the third person hasn't been named. So, interesting. Probably something for another volume. But we'll see. We shall see. And then at the very end, it's very heartwarming. And basically, the inspiration or idol of Yatura, Mori-san, comes by, looks at the painting that Yatura did, and she absolutely loves it, and very heartwarming at the very end here. Let's see here. Again, spoilers. That is quite a memorable panel. This painting is lovely. Very, very cool. And then we got a nice little note from the author about the entrance exam arc. It was supposed to only take 2 volumes, but ended up taking 6, which again, I'm happy that the author took the time to explain the full story, not rushing it. And I have enjoyed reading this because I was a little wary at first when I read the first volume. I wasn't sure if I really was going to get into it. By volume 3, I wasn't sure if I was going to continue, but I'm glad I continued it. The story just keeps getting better and better, and I thoroughly enjoyed volume 6. Not as good as volume 4, though. Volume 4 I still think is a really good arc and story before the exam started, but this one's pretty good too. Just shows that sometimes you're your own worst enemy, and I think that is the best way I can sum up volume 6. and that sometimes you're always going to need outside help to get through your own worst enemies. So, but with that, we'll end it there. If you have any manga suggestions down below, feel free to leave a comment, like, comment, subscribe. If you'd like to support my work, feel free to look at all the links down below. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the IC Fellowship. With that, wing hugs to all, and to all a good night.